Hi, I'm Rob.
And I'm Angie.
And together,
We are Cookie and Twinfinity.
yes, we are.
We're ridiculously tired, both of us.
Yeah,
And so we're ridiculous.
she's a little giddy and I'm just dopey.
You're dopey. Yeah.
So,
And Cookie just came down to say hi. She was upstairs having her bone, and she didn't even bring her bone downstairs, so she just came for a hello.
so she's probably going to just run away and go back upstairs.
And go get her bone and bring it back down here.
Probably.
And then sit here and lick you. But
Yeah,
say
no.
hi to everybody while you're here, because they all like to say hi to you.
Just because.
Just be paused, yes. All right, now you can run away, except now you're going to stay and lick Rob.
Nope, I got a blanket on my legs. She can't get to me.
So happy 11 day. We are a little late on our next video because we've just both been stupid busy. I'm in busy season of work, which is busy.
And I've taken on another job responsibility at work, which just has kept me tired and
And learning.
And learning, and I don't want to say unenthused about everything in life, but I just feel beat up. You know, you take on something new and you know you're just going to have 6 months of intense learning curve and you're going to come out the other end of it. I wasn't planning on doing this anytime soon or at all with this point of my career, but it's happening. Nothing I can do about it, or at least that's what my boss says.
Yeah, so we've both been going through a lot lately, so we're just tired. But we're like, all right, tonight, let's do it.
Yeah, Angie suggested this a couple of days ago, and I've got myself all psyched up and ready for it. I thought, is there a better time to do this? And I thought, no, tonight would actually be the right night to do this. So here I am.
And we're so far behind, we haven't even, the I part of we, haven't even changed our decorations. I usually change them every month to the theme of the month, and this month they're supposed to be hearts.
Yeah, we're just not there.
No, it's still on
January. Snowflakes.
Well, it's kind of meant to look like fireworks or something.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, like colored fireworks. Yeah. Haven't even changed those, so it is what it is. Here we are.
But we are here.
Yes, we are. So, we were discussing our little anecdote to share, and
I have no idea what she's going to say, but she says she's got the story.
yeah, we actually had one the other day. We were chuckling about something funny that we do, and I was like, oh, we should add that to the list. And we were going to tell that tonight, but I was like, you know what? I have a better one that's more appropriate for the month and the time frame, because it is Valentine's
Ish.
week. So I thought I would share this one. If you're familiar with the cereal Cheerios, I don't know if they exist everywhere in the world, so maybe not, but they come in heart shapes now as well. So when Rob has heart-shaped Cheerios for breakfast, he leaves me 2 of them, all sorts of places in the kitchen for me to find them. And it's too bad I actually don't even have any pictures left on my phone. I was going to show you. I'll have to post them. Every year I go through all the pictures that are on my phone and save them to a hard drive so that I don't have like thousands and thousands of pictures all the time. So I just cleaned up my phone. But they're on the hard drive. So maybe on Facebook and Instagram I will post some pictures of those. But it's really cute. For months and months and months you were doing that until we ran out of heart-shaped Cheerios.
Until I ran out of heart. Yeah. I even went through the last few handfuls of Cheerios and picked out all the hearts. Still eventually ran out. Sort of how it works when you pull out 2 hearts a couple of times a week.
Yeah. But it was so cute because they'd end up all over the place in the kitchen for me to find. And sometimes I didn't find them until I came home for lunch, or sometimes it was later in the day. But whenever I found them, I would text Rob and go, I loved where you put them today. And it was just so sweet that he would do that. And why I thought it was appropriate to share that now is not just because Valentine's is coming up, but just as a reminder that, like, everybody thinks, oh, Valentine's, when I'm single, it's such a hard day and blah, 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 and I don't have anybody. And it's just a reminder that every day can be about love. It doesn't have to be one day, and it doesn't have to be for people that are just in a relationship. You can do romantic things for yourself. You can do sweet things for yourself. You can do them for a friend or a roommate or whoever is in your life, a parent, a child. Like you could leave little Cheerios for your children if you have kids. Like, there's all sorts of fun things you can do.
Buy a little bag of heart-shaped chocolates and just leave them all around your co-workers' places.
Yeah.
Unless you work from home, that's a little tougher.
Well, yeah, that could be a problem. So it's just a reminder that love is an everyday thing. It's not just meant for one day of the year, and it doesn't have to be a sad day, because it's honestly just a day. Like, we don't do a whole ton of things on Valentine's Day. In fact, at this point, we have nothing planned. And
no, we don't.
At supper going, what are we going to do on Valentine's? Like, we don't make it a huge deal, because every day is
We usually
love.
do something.
Well, we usually go out for dinner.
But this Friday is supposed to be cold.
Cold.
Just cold. Like,
Yeah.
why would you go outside when you finally just came in from outside cold?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. We might still go somewhere. Or we might not.
Might not.
Meh.
Yeah. But anyway, that was just the little story I wanted to share. It's very sweet to have like little Valentine's things just anytime, all the time. Rob is very sweet at doing little things like that. I'm less so. I find life overwhelming enough that I have a hard time just getting through the days, let alone thinking of something sweet and nice to do. You're way better at that than me. Yeah.
I occasionally get into a panic and say, I haven't done anything sweet and nice for a few weeks. About time.
Yeah. So yeah, I get little heart Cheerios. So, we could dive into questions unless you have anything else to...
I have nothing else. I'm still in dopey mode.
And I'm going to be playing with my hair all night. I got it cut and she didn't cut it right. So it's like short on the sides and it's like hanging in my face. So I'm constantly pulling it back until it grows out a bit.
I'm glad you were telling that little story, because I just read this and I'm gonna fall flat on my face when I run into that.
Oh, okay. So what does that have to do with the story of my hair?
It gave me a chance to read ahead to know I'm gonna fall flat on my face.
Oh, okay. Do you want me to tell you what it is, or are you just gonna figure it
I'm
out?
just gonna go that, and then you can say that for me.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Because I'm not even sure I even know what that is. No, I'm very sure I don't know what that is. Are we ready?
Yeah.
Okay. I wish to know what you have learned about God. 1. Does God exist in duality like...
Shiva and Shakti.
See, I knew I'd never heard of that before.
Are you
2.
leaving?
Does every soul have a twin? I specifically don't think that this is true. 3. Are we really special people who take birth to complete God's purpose/will? 4. Have I reincarnated many times with my soul TF to do various work on this plane of existence or anywhere else? Okay, you can tackle number 1.
Okay, those are fun questions. I like them.
Yeah. Does God exist in duality like?
Shiva and Shakti.
Yeah. This is tough. I'm going to try to answer this. It's really tough to put a dimension on God of existence because everything is God.
Yes, that's exactly where I was going to go.
So to put a personality or a three-dimensional thought on it, it's really difficult to do.
So it depends from what perspective you're looking at it. When you're looking at God in spirit as the source, the light, the all that is, no, it does not have duality. But when you understand that we are all God incarnated. And I know some people think that's like blasphemous and but how I understand it from how the book's Conversation with God explains it is that God just is. It's everything. It's the up, it's the down, it's the light, it's the dark. It's all of it. But it needed to experience itself, because when you just are, you can't know that you are, because you just are. So it incarnated into all of us, and not just humans, all life forms, to experience itself as itself. So it is duality because we are duality. That's kind of the point, the basic point of our existence is for God to experience God's self. Because how can God know God's self if God just is? So yes, it's part of duality, because you can't know yourself unless you know what you are not. So you have to experience what you are not in order to know what you are. And I hope I'm explaining that somewhat well.
I'm going to answer that question a little bit shorter.
Go for it.
Does God also exist in duality? The answer is yes, like Shiva and Shakti. Yes, and more. The end.
The end.
The end.
Does every soul have a twin?
I specifically don't think that this is true, is what the person who threw that in as a subnote is, but let's go, just keep the question simple. Does every soul have a twin?
My belief is no. Some people believe yes. Here's why I believe no, and this is not based on ego, and we say this often. It's only those who are advanced enough in their soul growth that would choose that experience. Not every being is going to choose that experience because they're not ready to have that much growth. You have to be a higher level, I'll use that word, being to want to experience that much growth. So if you're a young soul, you're not ready for that. You're not going to split. Some people have a different perspective though. Some people believe every single soul has a split and is a masculine and feminine energy. And that could very well be true. I'm just going with my own understanding, my own beliefs. What's your take on it?
Does every soul have a twin? I also believe no. But I believe that any soul at any age of experience, I'll call it that, can choose to become a twin, but just like even adolescent or pre-adolescent that chooses to run before they walk, if you split too early without having lots of experience, you're both sides of the twin may spend a lot of time stumbling while they both gain enough experience to maybe be able to exist in harmony with, let's say, the purpose of God. Boy, that's really a big phrase. A little bit better. So I think that, yes, young souls can divide, but it is more likely that an older soul looking to just grab those last few vestiges of learning before possibly just not needing to exist in the third dimension anymore, that's more likely when a soul is going to become a twin. Now, that also doesn't mean that, and this is going to border into one of those other questions that's part of this, that just because you're a twin means you've only got 1 or 2 or 3 lifetimes in the third dimension remaining. It could be that you've had 100 and you've still got 30 more to go.
Nobody wants to hear that. You've just popped everybody's bubble.
Well, let's just say I look at my own life and, yeah, I got a little bit more to learn. Yeah, this might not just, there's no way this could be the last one.
Well, I don't necessarily believe we have last lives anyway. I mean, we can choose to, but I think most of us continue to come back for the experience because of the answer I gave in question number 1. And it's not to say we only come back in Earth. There's lots of other realms, lots of other planets, lots of other star systems we can go to and we can experience. And most of us are kind of have origins from there anyway. So
how about this? Maybe this is one of the last times in third dimension, but now we got this fourth dimension to master. And with the thoughts of sixth, seventh, and eighth dimensions, which I can't even comprehend. I've tried to. There's been a few documents that have tried to explain that to me, and yeah, I get a little bit lost even after fifth. Sixth, I can grasp it that there might be a bit there, but after that, I'm lost absolutely. So that was question number 2. Does every soul have a twin? No, not yet. But
and I think we were actually answering the third one.
Oh, no.
Are we
no.
especially people who take birth to complete God's purpose? Oh, did we not get there yet?
We hadn't got there yet.
Oh, I thought that's what we were answering.
We were still doing the twin one.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah. But just to finish off that thought, yeah. No, not yet, but likely eventually. I also think it'd be very rare for a soul to just truck all the way through all the dimensions, learn everything it needs to learn to stay completely close in the realm of spirit, and not at some point have split to a twin. That would seem quite unfair, like they've missed out. This twin bit's pretty good.
Well, and I think there's other things than just the twin experience that we might not even know about or understand yet. Like, there's probably way more advanced souls than even twin flames are.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
there's.
If we're still dealing with the third dimension, I actually feel quite young, quite young in the development.
And that's what I find so exciting, is there's so much out there. Like, and it's endless, because the growth experience is endless. So, once you think you got it all figured out, you're barely scratching the surface, right? So as twins, we think, okay, this is the pinnacle. It's probably not even near it. Not to say that it's a bad experience or a lower experience. I just think there's more. There's always more.
Far more than we can imagine.
Absolutely.
Now we can go on to the point number 3 on that question.
Okay.
Are we really special people who take birth to complete God's purpose / will?
I'm going to say yes, and we are all special people, whether we're twin flames or not. Again, like, our ego wants to make us more special because we're twin flames. But all souls are the same level of special in God's eyes. Each soul is just progressing in a different way or having different experiences, so chooses different things. It's just like saying, is a Palladian more special than an Arcturian? No, they're just different. Is a tree more special than a human? No, it's just different. So, we are special people, like everybody, and we are here to complete God's purpose and will, like everybody. However, I do believe twin flames and other advanced, again, I'll put that in air quotes, souls have chosen to come at this time to help with the Earth's ascension, because we're going through like a mass awakening and helping the Earth ascend to a higher vibrational level, so that we can literally have a version of heaven on Earth. And in order to do that, more advanced souls needed to be here to assist with it. So a lot of us have chosen to come back, even though a lot of us were like, yeah, I'm not coming back to Earth, I'm going to go other realms. But we were asked and volunteered to come back to this realm for this specific mission.
Angie's answer is far more intricate than mine to this.
Rob's is, yes. No, just kidding.
I'm going to skip right over the special people bit, because I completely agree with Angie. I don't need to twist around some other words to basically say the same thing. But the bit of special people who take birth to complete God's purpose and will, I do want to bend a little bit. I like to take the word complete and change it to the word experience God's purpose and will. Life here to me is kind of like being at school. We're all here, we're all experiencing something, and God's keeping track of how we experience this and the feelings that we have, and therefore experiencing our experiences through us. And if we have a special purpose or will, I'd say that I wouldn't want to take it any further than, let's just say, the occasional student who is excelling at a certain portion of learning, who chooses to help tutor other students. I feel more like a tutor as opposed to being a leader or someone who's far advanced. It's not like I'm in grade 12 and the rest of the world's in grade 2 and I'm here to teach that. I feel like I'm even in the same class, just helping others who are struggling a little more. So
that's very interesting.
So yeah, that's how I try to keep it very, very level for most of us. It's just sometimes to be a tutor, it just takes a little more bravery, and that's the difference between people who, let's say, do videos or just people that just help other people that they know. It's just different styles of tutoring.
Okay.
But experience God's purpose / will. And again, how we experience it is how God gets to feel our experiences. All right, that's it.
Okay.
Simple, I thought.
Last portion of this question. Last question within this question.
Have I reincarnated many times with my soul, TF, to do various work on this plane of existence or anywhere else?
Not that we can say what any soul has done, because it's for you to know.
That's kind of hard, yeah.
But if you are in the twin flame experience, that alone kind of says, yes, you've incarnated many times, because as we answered in the first question, you're most likely not going to incarnate as a twin flame or as a split soul unless you have been here many times. So it's highly likely that yes, you've been here many, many times. And this is where I love regression work, past life regression and life between lives regression, because you get to experience that for yourself and get the validation. I've had, I don't know how many past life either experiences or memories. I've shared it in a video. I can't remember. If I find it, I'll link it up there. But I have like a chart where I've kind of designed all the lives that I remember. And a lot of them Rob was in some fashion, way, form. Sometimes we weren't together. Sometimes we were together and it didn't work because we weren't ready. But it's quite often that, yes, if you incarnated before, you will have remembrances of your twin and you either together or at least incarnated together. Not necessarily were you actually together, but living at the same time. So highly likely is my answer.
I've got a couple of little tangents to go along with my answer on this. I'm going to go again to the end portion of the question about the plane of existence or anywhere else. I understand that I have lived on this earth before, but there is gaps between lives that I can claim to remember that I've dwelled on the thought of, well, what about that time? Did I really, let's say, live for 30 years, time-wise, on this planet, and then skip 30 years, and then live 30 years again here, and then skip another 30 years, just as an example? Or is a person, when their soul goes back to spirit, is everything so almost instant that really you just go from lifetime to lifetime to lifetime in just slightly more than the snap of a finger? And that you go from living on Earth to going to live someplace else, not on Earth. And then when that's done, you're back here to pick up where you left off, and then you go someplace else over there, and then you come back here. I really don't think that spirit would need us, from a time understanding point of view, to take years breaks in between continued learning. I think you learn, you go back to spirit, you go, great, oh wow, that was interesting, I learned a bunch of stuff. Soul group, let's get ready to rock and roll. And that brings me back to my second point. If you, let's say, go back to spirit and then you jump to another spot, does your soul group follow you, or do you have a different soul group for that different plane of existence, wherever it be a different planet 100 million light years away, or whatever that is? This is really kind of intriguing to me, because really, to have completely separate groups of souls for every place you jump to, it seems like a lot of work. The way you could re-explain that is that if your soul can exist at different places at the same time, which brings up that, I'll call it potential theory, then that means that you can check in with your soul group, and your splinters of your souls within the souls group can go ahead and have another existence someplace else. That's really quite deep. I hope a few of you at least caught where I was going with that. But the thought is, going back to the real question, have I reincarnated many times? Yes, not just necessarily here, with my soul/TF to do various work. Yes, taking into account that we'll just assume that you do have a twin flame on this plane or existence or elsewhere. Yap, all over the place.
Yep.
Yep, all over the place.
Okay.
So, yep.
That was a really deep first question to dive into, but it was fun.
I thought I was tired before. That's kind of how my day's been.
I don't even remember what the next question is, but I don't necessarily think it's as deep. So.
Oh, it starts out with hello, Rob and Angie. Hi.
Hi.
Yes. Okay, next question. Oh, it says, thank you for answering my question in the last video. That's the thing, I usually don't read the names, so yeah, that name's familiar. Referring to what you said, I am very curious about your perspective on what exactly connection is in a relationship between twin flames. What does it mean to understand connection? Yeah, you better go. You better take that question. I really appreciate your wisdom of the simplicity of being human, which for me is a value of authenticity. I would be grateful if you would delve deeper into this topic. And by all means, Rob, if you would like to share your own reflections on my question, which gave you so much to think about, I would be a willing listener.
Yeah, because you were the one that answered it. It was addressed to you last time, so that's why they were saying Rob. And Rob's like, oh no! So, what exactly does connection mean
in a relationship
between twin flames?
Boy, no.
That could be answered in 10,000 different ways.
You could take 30, I'll say, twin flame pairs, 20 couples, put them all in the same room, ask that question, and there would probably be
50 different answers.
Let's just say if there was 100 different answers, probably about 30 of them would be common to almost everybody. And then the other 70 would be specific to the dynamic of that twin, that set of twins. So, what is a connection exactly in a relationship between twin flames? rather than defining what the connection would look like, I think it's more important to recognize the connection as it is perceived.
What does that mean?
Between you and your twin, if you have a perception of what that connection is, be it whether you meet in dreams but seldom in 3D, or whether you happen to be together and you always have this unexplainable connection and happiness that runs you over, that's another example. It's more important to recognize what the connection is than to try to define a connection and try to apply yourself to it. So recognize what you have as opposed to what you perceive twin flame connections should be or should look like.
I'm going to answer it a bit different. When you understand, going back similar to the very first question of does God exist in duality, and how I was explaining we are all an aspect of God in experience. That is no different for twin flames. So we are all connected, whether you're a twin flame or not. As souls, we are all connected. Twin flames just have a stronger, unique connection because they come from the exact same soul makeup. So I've kind of drawn this in my journal, and it's too bad I didn't pull it out for this. I've shown it in videos before, but I kind of like drew it as like God is all the energy, right? So I kind of drew like stars and hearts and circles and lines and all these different things. And as souls, we each take a little bit, one aspect of that or three aspects of that, different sorts of bits and pieces of that energy down with us. So as souls, we all come from that makeup of God, but we have different aspects of it, which makes us different. But as twin flames, you bring down the exact same aspects, and that's why you recognize each other, because you have that exact connection, that identical connection.
You say, hey, you're me.
Right. We're all a mirror for each other. Every single soul with each other is, but twin flames are like an exact mirror. So they have the exact same makeup and the same energies, which was what makes us a little more unique and what makes our connection stronger, which is why we have telepathy and shared dreams and all these neat, weird experiences that twin flames can have. Like your twin flame can be eating something 10,000 miles away and you can taste it even though you're not eating it. All those neat things. Very much like identical twins have, because they come from the same sperm and egg combined. So they have the identical makeup of each other. So that's how I would kind of describe the connection. I just want to make sure I'm the exact connection in a relationship. Yeah, so you're just sharing kind of like the exact identical makeup, which makes it a more unique, powerful connection.
You know, you kind of lost me at taste. I'm totally scattered tonight. So does this mean that because I'm on a diet, I can feed you chocolate and experience the the flavor?
If we had that ability, it would be great.
I think we should try to practice that.
When Rob drinks, I feel the effects of it. That's what's so weird. I don't drink alcohol at all. Like my stomach cannot handle it.
She's mildly allergic.
Yeah, well, even more mild than more mildly, because the stuff you had the other night, I just smelt it and I felt nauseous. I was just like, oh, that is so like, ugh. But Rob drinks and I'm the one that feels weird from it. So weird things like that. But anyway, that's off topic. What does it mean to understand connection?
Yeah, what does that mean to understand connection?
I think it means kind of what I said before, is understanding that you come from the same energetic makeup. So you have a very unique connection. It's understanding that you share the same energetic bond. I'm trying to find different words to say that.
Yeah,
but I'm not having good luck.
If I switch the word understand connection to recognize connection. To recognize connection, even if it's a bit odd to the rational mind, to understand connection is to also believe connection, to trust in connection, and sometimes it's a little shaky. It can't even really verify it until it's had a chance to express itself numerous times.
Well, sorry, go ahead.
But with these connections, initially when you sense it, there's another word that goes along with connection, sensing connection. It sometimes takes that repetition to believe and buy into it.
Well, I was going to say, you don't even have to understand it consciously, because most of us don't when we first experience our twin flame, when we like actually run into them and go, whoa, like what the hell was that? I just had this powerful, intense meeting or experience. Most of us have no clue what's going on.
In 3D.
Thank you. I was like, help me out, connection one.
I sense distress in your connection. I was lost in the first time that we met.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was going to go.
Because as much as I didn't look like Grizzly Adams with a big beard and be burly and everything.
Nope.
Yeah, you didn't seem to really match up with what I was thinking either. So I was instantly intrigued as to where there was a connection when we had not met each other, didn't know what each other looked like. And then when we met, the perceptions that I had were so far off, it was instantly intriguing to me because the energy was still there.
Right.
I just had to adapt to the new visual.
Right. And that's the right word too, is the energy. So
yes.
What does it mean to understand connection? You can understand the connection on different levels. It takes a long time to understand it on a conscious level.
Yes.
And that's often where one or the other runs, is because they don't understand the connection. They can't put any logical meaning or rationale to it because it's not logical.
Feelings.
It's out of this world, literally.
Feelings, when you feel a connection, it is so much harder to deal with because feelings are extremely hard to put into words. And if someone says, well, what do you feel? And you can't just answer their question because words don't do your feelings justice.
Totally.
It can be scary.
Yeah.
Because then you start to go, I can't describe it. It must be dangerous. It must be fearful.
And that's where the ego comes in, right? Because
Yeah.
the ego is here to like protect us and keep us safe and keep us separate. And so the ego goes, well, I don't have an explanation for this, so I must be crazy. It must not be real. And then the ego talks you out of it and creates all this weird justifications for it. And that's when you get into all the trouble. So understanding connection is layers. It's not just on the conscious level. We understood we had a connection before we even met.
Yeah.
But when we talked on the phone, we knew we had a connection. Did we understand how or why or where it came from? No. We just understood we had a connection. It took us till 2012 for me and 2014 for you before we actually understood on a conscious level what the connection was.
And for me to know that there was a connection, yes, I knew it, didn't understand it, couldn't put words to it, and stayed at arm's distance. But in 2014, when the right situations came along, I switched between recognizing a connection and embracing the connection. And that took mere seconds.
Yeah.
It was time.
it was amazing.
It was time to stop trying to define it.
Keep talking. I'm just getting a pen.
Getting a pen. Oh, someone's got a note.
No, it's for later, because otherwise it's hard for me to remember where to link things.
It was really a case of believing, accepting, embracing, and therefore carrying it with me from that point forward. I still didn't necessarily have the words for it, but the perspective of, and what Angie was mentioning in 2014 was twin flame. When that perspective came along, it finally gave that feeling a place to rest.
Right.
It's a place to have a foundation from.
So yeah, going back to that, understanding connection happens in layers.
Yeah. It really does. The simplicity of being human. We actually just really did a little bit of that there in talking about how everything comes to a person in layers. It isn't usually an instant understanding. It's, as opposed to peeling an onion, which works itself down to nothing, the understanding of being human almost adds layers as it goes.
Oh,
It becomes bigger. It's like peeling an onion in reverse, starting from the narrow bit and then putting other layers on until the core is actually well understood and the experiences get added on as layers. So that is what it's more like to be human. It's about adding experiences, not trying to peel down to the basic portions of oneself. Now, complications in being human usually need to be peeled down to. For example, trauma. You peel down to the core of trauma. But by peeling down to the core of trauma, you're also on the other side of being human, taking those peels off the one side to expose where the growth is needed. But adding to the other side of you, the human side of you, is still adding that experience of that growth to you. So it's literally taking the peels off of one side and putting it on the other.
So I think to summarize, we probably still haven't answered this person's question very well, because it's not a logically answerable question in a lot of ways. Connection happens on such a deep soul level that it's not something that you can explain in words. It kind of goes like what Rob said. It's more about the feelings, and those are different for everybody, right? Connection can be felt and experienced very differently from everybody. So for us to just sit here and say, this is connection, like we said in the beginning, you could put 50 different couples in a room and there would be 50 different answers, if not 100.
It's very much like fireworks. A bunch of people can watch the same fireworks show. Then you ask each one of them, without the other ones being present, what their favorite part of the fireworks was. You'd probably, by the time you got done asking 20 people, you'd be able to describe what happened in the fireworks show, because people would like so many different portions of the fireworks show that they would literally re-describe it.
And because it's perspective. They all would have a different perspective.
Someone would say something like, I like the green ones. Ta-da.
And somebody would be like, there wasn't any green ones, they were blue.
No, there was green in all the reds. There was red and greens bursting together, and I like the green bits. Ta-da.
So hopefully we've answered your question better than last time. But if not, ask again and we'll try again.
Yeah, take some of those really hard to use words and bend together another question, and we'll see if we can actually grab that perspective and nail it. Or we could miss it all together and just have a great time tangenting.
There we go. Now this next question is interesting. It's like the shortest question on the whole page.
Yeah, it's
complicated. It's funny how you can have such a short question and it still be very tricky.
Do you have anything about mental illness and the TF journey?
So I could just answer the question very simply and say, no, we don't. But
this journey could drive you crazy.
It could be part of your mental illness. No, I won't say that. But in all fairness, like I wrote this down. I answered this person privately because it was just a simple no. We don't have any videos where we've addressed mental illness because neither of us have had that experience on our own journey but I'm sure it exists. And this is where, and I was going to say this is where we'd like to open it up to the floor to any of you, but all of our questions are always open. You're welcome to answer any of the questions in the comments and share your perspective.
Even downstepping that a little bit to even just say mental variations where you deal with, like, let's say ADD or ADHD, even that's really hard to say whether or not that and the TF journey really affect each other. The twin flame journey stands really quite alone in my mind. But as soon as I say that, someone's going to completely disagree and not be wrong.
What do you mean it stands alone?
The TF journey doesn't require any prerequisites like extreme stability or the opposite side, mental illness or anything like that.
Okay, but do you believe you can have mental illness and still be a twin flame?
Yes.
Okay.
It's just another one of the billions of angles of experience.
Absolutely. It's kind of like lots of twin flames have chosen, and some people really struggle with that. So I'll just say that is my belief, that we choose our experiences of trauma and abuse and stuff like that. Lots of us choose that experience for our growth to assist with our twin flame journey. And I believe mental illness is a similar. It's just another pathway of the advanced growth that we're here to do as advanced souls. I gotta find a better word for advanced, because I don't like it, because it sounds so ego, like, oh, we're so much better than everybody else. And we're not. We're just different.
Experienced souls.
That's a good word. Experienced souls.
You see, and I look back at my journey with or without the flag of TF to go with it. I look back at previous lives, and I've had a lot of military lives. I've pulled the trigger on a lot of...
You haven't even read the questions. That's the very next question.
Oh.
So carry on. This is good, though. This is good. We'll tie right into the next one.
I've pulled a lot of triggers on sending a lot of souls back to spirit. And yeah, I've been on the receiving end of that trigger, too. Yeah, I've died on the battlefield more than once, twice, whatever. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm kind of enjoying this particular incarnation because I've managed to stay out of the military. I haven't shot anybody. I haven't put a bow and arrow into anything. I haven't thrown a rock or swung a club, other than a golf club.
And not on a human or any other living creature.
I think I bonked someone with a golf ball once.
But it wasn't intentional.
No.
But anyway, getting back to the mental illness part of this, how does that tie in with the mental illness? I'm trying to keep us somewhat on track.
Yeah, no, it's the thought that the TF journey doesn't need or require any prerequisites like mental illness, as an example. Yeah, and can it be there? Sure.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Does anything need to be there? No. Can everything be there? Yes.
Yep.
Another one of these broad-based answers.
Certainly have mental illness and still be a twin flame. You can have alcoholism and be a twin flame. You can be a drug addict and be a twin flame. It doesn't exempt us from any of those experiences, because the soul, as a twin flame, is going to choose those harder journeys to work through because it's an experienced soul. I like that word.
Yeah.
As an experienced soul, it wants to choose the harder journey
and why experience
to grow more.
And why experience what you've already experienced?
Right. You're not going to choose something that you've already had in a previous lifetime unless you didn't succeed at it and now you're choosing it again to work through it.
And after saying that, like, why would a soul choose to experience the same thing that it's experienced? Yet I've climbed some ridges and some mountains 20, 30 times. I must really be boring my poor soul out. It probably doesn't need to climb it more than once.
Well, this is a perfect segue into the next question, because you just said you've chosen the military life many times. Oh, you're going to make me answer this?
I'm going to make you read it. If the last question was like 10 words long, this next one is
You're gonna
300.
make me read all of this?
You want me to try? Is there any complicated bits? Am I going to run into a
No,
word that I
no,
don't
you
know?
won't. But I'll do it if you want me to.
I'll
do you
read
know?
it. I'll read it.
Do you want me to share what one of the reasons I don't like reading? And everybody's going to be like, well, then you should read more.
Oh.
I still have a trauma from like grade 3 or 4. I can't remember. No, it might have been older than that. But from having to read, you know how like the teacher, I don't know if your teacher ever did this, but you go up and down the rows and you'd have to like take your turn readings. I would have anxiety, like the row would be way over here and I'd be over here. And until it got to my turn, I would be panicking so much about my turn that I didn't even know what was being read before that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I just skip right over it. Yeah, you speak. I'll just speak and then everybody will speak and then it'll all be over.
And then I didn't even know what I read. Like I would read the words, but I didn't comprehend a single thing because I was so terrified, because I was so shy and insecure as a kid that I was terrified to stand out and to like have to read and use my voice.
I'm much better at it now, but I didn't really enjoy it either.
I hated that in school.
I didn't really value what I had to say to large groups. I preferred to choose people who I was comfortable with, and then I could babble on for minutes on end.
Yeah, I still didn't. I was literally a wallflower. Like if I could have just crawled inside the wall and disappeared, that would have been most best.
See? Barely an introvert, completely an introvert.
No, extrovert, introvert. We have this argument all the time. Anyway.
I'm actually quite neutral. But slightly introverted.
Neutral. Carry on. Oh, extroverted one.
No. Somewhat. Not really. Okay. Oh, yeah, you're right. How does the masculine energy participate in the healing of Earth when being in the military? My twin is in the military and he often needs to travel for work. And on a soul's perspective, I think he is doing unconscious grid work. For most of my life, I have had a very negative outlook on the military as a whole because all I see is eventual destruction instead of peace and common values. So for someone who has been in the military for many lives, Rob, what does your outlook on the masculine side of healing our planet through the... How does it look? Yeah. On the masculine side of healing our planet through the military perspective. I do see how the military can be a way to fight for the light and an incredible physical manifestation of human unity. Human. Yep, got that word wrong. Tired. And it's great to know twin flame masculine energies and light workers lift it up and bring the light into it. But I still harbor grief and anger that needs to be healed concerning war and the military as a whole. I have a strong history of great family losses during both world wars, and I come from a country that was frontline for Russia and Germany in both world wars, fighting for our independence from these overwhelming powers. My great-grandparents, just married and with my grandma on the way, were separated during the war with no chance to reconnect, losing our homes multiple times. On the side of the family, 8 or 9 brothers dead in the war, in the World War I, etc. All in the last century with so much grief left behind. My twin, on the other hand, has a family history of military, and they take great pride in it and know how to honor it. But all my family has grief and pain and loss and a deep disgust and distrust in the reigning powers of the world. There's 2 twins who are grabbing all perspectives because they are able to live on both sides because they're twins. We are kind of idealistic and unrealistic when it comes to how the world would be without military conflict. And it hurts that it's not common sense for all the people on our planet just put the guns down and build a nicer world for all of us.
Yep.
I guess it's something I need to heal in this life, but it cuts so deep and I don't know where to start. Well, that was a whole lot of stuff. And I wish I had the ability to just take all the feelings that I had while reading that question and tuck all 20 of them away into 20 micro answers. But I've lost 2/3 of them, and I'm going to have to go back and kind of read this again. This is the kind of question that I regret not reading beforehand. But going with my first feelings, yes, two different people on both sides. One with a great respect for the military, the other one with a great amount of damage from what wars have done to their family. I'm thinking of the 7 generations that it takes to heal trauma in a lineage. I think it's very important that people who have had recent trauma in their lineage, and recent can be in great grandparents. That's still quite recent in the realm of things.
Yeah.
I think it's very important that if someone has the ability to hold the torch and hold the light for the next generations, encourage them to have a more peaceful existence so that your own lineage can be staying on the journey for healing. It is important. I really don't believe myself that there is any great advantage to any form of war. I think that sportsmanship, like let's say through hockey games, football games, soccer games, whatever you want to call it, I think that is plenty enough competition for the majority of egos. Anything above that, where it becomes continental or world conquest, is just ego run amok. And for the few strong egos that put the world in that situation, there's a few billion of the rest of us that have to deal with the trauma of knowing that exists, and we really wish it didn't. So I do have compassion for those that are in the military. I occasionally do run across people who are in the military, but I look at military and paramilitaries, let's say police forces, let's say FBI, even firefighters, ambulance people, all those people that are in charge of moving trauma, dealing with trauma. All those professions, in a sense, I have a great deal of respect for people that can survive under those circumstances, because dealing with deep trauma like wars and accidents and whatnot, it is almost incomprehensible to me how people can keep their sanity intact. And a lot of them don't. After 20 years of doing it, they're half loopy. They join the previous question, the mental illness side.
Yep.
PTSD.
I was just going to go there. Yep.
Yeah.
Totally.
But what is the purpose of military when it comes to trying to have peace on Earth? It would be nice if we could just snap our fingers and erase the need for military. But really, until we also have greater than 99% of military requiring egos in check.
Yeah. We need an awakened world, which is what we're here to help with.
We're here to help with. We're a long ways away from it. I used to have a lot of hope that over the next 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, that there would be a huge amount of awakenings going on in the world, and we would be able to just deal with a lot of the strife that there is. But no, much like someone whose family is requiring 7 generations to heal from a major family trauma, I feel that we're just kind of halfway through. And that to just hold the light for this generation and have a few other people continue on, like if, let's say, Angie and I, if we can influence 10 other people who are 20 years younger than us to carry the torch for the next generation, and if they can influence 10 times as many people each, we will eventually be able to overcome this, what some people would call ungodliness, unholiness, of the way that we just seem to have to struggle along in life right now. But, you know, if you could poll most people on Earth, you would find that the vast majority, 80%, 90%, really wish that there was bountiful levels of peace on Earth.
Yeah.
But out of fear or out of necessity, because of lack of peace on Earth, we accept that we need militaries to go out there and do the battle so that the rest of us can still have some peace on some bit of this Earth.
Well, I'm also going to tie this right back to the very first question of, does God exist in duality? This is part of it, because how does God know God is love and peace if God doesn't experience itself as the opposite? So that's my interpretation of why we have war and all of these unhealthy cycles, I'll call them, because we can't know what peace is until we know what not peace is. We can't even desire peace until we have a reason to desire it. If it was always peaceful, we would just take peace for granted. It's kind of like, you know, when you have an accident in your body or you break a bone, you didn't know how much you needed that bone until it was broken. You don't know how much you rely on your feet and legs to walk until you don't have them. So we sometimes need what we think are negative experiences in order to appreciate the other side. And the more we have war, the more of us then that are now desiring peace and working towards peace and working at creating peace. So as much as I too very much struggle with war and military and all of that, it has its purpose in the bigger scheme of things.
I know with Angie, when something really terrible happens in the world, I sometimes I have to ask permission to fill her in on what's going on, because it's really, really hurtful to some people to even acknowledge that there is lots of bullets and bombs flying around the world at this point.
Yep.
You know, I have... This is going to sound negative, but I'm trying to be positive, and I don't know how this is going to come out. I have hope that eventually, when enough awful lines are crossed, that there will be a will amongst the people of the earth to make sure that all of our leaders are focused on reconciliation and peace. We will not accept leadership anymore that is designed on being ego charged, on making sure that one society is completely better than the other.
Yeah.
I haven't completely lost faith that there is an opportunity for one world government that doesn't need to have conflict between itself and anything else. It's just one level of existence, so that we are all together on this planet, relatively for the same person or purpose of not needing to fight over stuff. So Yeah, but I think unfortunately it's going to take numerous catastrophes
I think
that
we're closer than we think we are. At least that's my hope, anyway. And I think that's part of why twin flames and other experienced souls are here, is to assist with that change.
I think that when that change needs to happen, I think that this is where twin flame and other valuable spiritual connections and connectors, I think that this is where we would step in and help the new styles of leadership stay focused on true values that people appreciate.
Or may I should say, and some people might even become the new style of leadership.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It'll be the more experienced souls that start stepping up to be the models for a new way of living and being,
Completely.
which is one of the many reasons why we're here, is to bring our light, to bring our experience, to bring a different way of being into the earth. So those were some really deep and excellent questions for a night that we both felt really tired and low energy. I don't know about you, but I'm like all lively now. That really just got me going. Rob's like, no.
My gas tank started pretty low, and I I feel quite happy and energized on I say on a spiritual level, but there's another portion of me that's just wore right out.
Well, the good news is it's the end of the video. You did
Oh,
very well.
yeah, the question about actually I quite enjoyed all the questions. We even took the 10-word question and ended up spending 10 minutes on it.
Yes. So thank you once again for your great questions. They always bring about lively discussions. Feel free to add your thoughts, opinions, experiences in the comments. We always enjoy having everybody share, because it's not like we have all the answers, right? We are all here to share an experience together. So, yeah. So on that note, we're going to wrap it up so poor Rob can go wind down for the night and go to bed.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. And I'll be dreaming about the military all night.
Yes. So we're sending you lots of love for every day, not just for Valentine's Day. And we will be back with another video hopefully soon.
Sounds good.
Bye for now.
Bye.